pro-Trump YouTube channel is under fire from MAGA supporters because of their refusal to air pro-Trump conspiracy theories on their network, despite them, of course, getting very, very large from doing so. Now, this channel is the Right Side Broadcasting Network, and most of their content, about 95% of it, is like conspiracy theories stuff, or at least features like interviews with pro-Trump conspiracy theorists. So yeah, they're having a little bit of a difficult time. So now I go to a article here from the Daily Beast, and they talked about this. And basically the Washington Post called this channel the unofficial version of Trump TV. In fact, there were, rumors going around that the person who runs this pro-Trump YouTube channel was in talks with Trump about making partnering up for Trump TV. So that's fun. Now, again, a lot of the stuff that they did was go to rallies, cover anything Donald Trump related, interview Trump supporters, which has been getting them in a little bit of trouble. So now you have that YouTube crackdown against fake news and conspiracy theories. It's kind of hurt this business model just a little bit. Sad. As Will Sommer is going to explain in this piece, quote, "For a year, the Trump base has embraced conspiracy theories about election theft and COVID-19, exactly the kind of content, if live streamed on RSBN, that could get the channel kicked off YouTube." Now, I would argue, of course, that a lot of these conservative outlets have covered so-called election fraud for quite some time, using like the whole specter of voter fraud as an excuse to disenfranchise black voters since 2013. And this has been all over YouTube before. Okay, so this is not a new phenomenon on YouTube. In fact, the right-wingers have been all over YouTube. We on the left, myself, have been battling these misinformation and disinformation channels for a very, very long time. So now this channel comes up during, the Trump administration and during, the primary and all that stuff, gets gigantic, over 1.5 million, subscribers, real huge. Okay. And their content is now suddenly unpalatable for YouTube. So now I've got a couple of points on this. All right. So for one, this is not a First Amendment issue. Conservatives whine and cry and they scream about, oh, we're getting kicked off social media. We're getting kicked off these platforms. We're being deplatformed, guys. They're going after my First Amendment rights with free speech. First of all, it's not the government that is, censoring your speech, right? Free speech basically protects the government from arresting you for saying that, such and such congressman is a bad person, right? I mean, I could think of so many different examples, but I myself don't want to get kicked off YouTube of things that they've said. So I don't want to do that. All right. But what YouTube is owned by Google. It's a private corporation. All right. Now, a private corporation can decide what they want aired on their platform. And so, as I mentioned before, this has been going on for a very, very long time. This stuff went completely unchecked for years and years and years. YouTube made a lot of money off of it. A lot of these content creators made a lot of money off of it. Alex Jones was a great example. And then what YouTube did is they changed their policies once they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, essentially, after they have made all of this profit. So now the second point is related to this, and that's the fact that these platforms are very, very large, and that it's also pretty troubling when you think about these companies essentially being gatekeepers, right, of what you can see and hear. Because without these gigantic platforms, not a lot of people are going to hear this stuff. So now I mentioned this nuance because in some respects, I'm glad that they kicked off people like Alex Jones. Okay. I'm glad that they've removed some of these alt-right pipelines. All right. And they keep them out of, or at least they're trying to keep them out of the algorithm. But at the same time, I do worry about corporate power. I do worry about gatekeeping. And so that's a big problem. That said, you're not going to find the nuanced position in the MAGA crowd, okay, about what the Right Side Broadcasting Network is basically having to do to keep their channel from being shut down because they make a lot of money off their content. And so what they're doing is they're censoring their own content. In fact, let me give you some examples. One of them is during a recent broadcast in Orlando. Now, one of their fans was being interviewed by a man with the pseudonym Mike-nificent. Mike-nificent. They claimed that Trump votes had somehow been altered from outer space. Yes. Here's what they said. You know how they said they changed the votes using a satellite? Nobody said that. One woman told him in a remark that went out to live to more than 100,000 RSBN viewers on YouTube. Mike-nificent then cut her off. Quote, "We can't go there. We'll lose our entire platform," he said, backing away from the woman as she grew increasingly irate. "We have to play by the rules." Not magnificent. You know what? That is so much better than Mike-nificent. What were they thinking? Another woman said, "I also covered this election and it was stolen." Mike-nificent responded by saying, "Oh, well, you know, some would say that it hasn't been stolen." Yeah, yes. Some would say. They would say that Biden won the presidency fair and square. Fair and square. So, wink, wink, Biden won, he said. So, yeah, there we go on that. So, now it's kind of hilarious because, for one, you know, it shows you how insane the Trump base is and how they just cling to these, right? And how reliant their media has been for so many years on this propaganda, on this peddling these ridiculous conspiracy theories, right? Now, as Sommer puts it, the channel is in a tough spot. Quote, "After helping to create Trump's base and fielding baseless allegations that Trump won in 2020, RSBN is now stuck between YouTube's enforcement and a hoax-addled conservative audience it relies on for donations, of course, as well as views and money." Okay. Now, the resulting attempts to keep RSBN free from pro-Trump conspiracy theories often result in comical ad hoc attempts at muting speakers or rapid changes in tone from RSBN talent. Sommer writes, "Faced with the prospect of losing its YouTube audience with a ban, RSBN has to constantly avoid crossing an invisible line, promoting election fraud promoters at one moment, then cutting their mics as soon as they say something that could get the channel banned." And I'm going to show you an example of that with the MyPillow guy. So this is fun. Faced with a threat of deletion, RSBN is stuck cutting off right-wing personalities who would otherwise be heroes to the audience. One example happened on February 20th when the channel streamed a rally in Ventura, California, promoting a recall against Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, look, recall rallies are fine. Nothing wrong with that. If you think Governor Newsom has done a bad job, which even a lot of lefties are thinking that Newsom has done a pretty bad job, that's totally legit. However, at this rally, they invited a speaker who was somewhat controversial. That speaker was Dr. Judy Mikovits. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the name, she was in that viral video, literally viral in this case, at the start of the pandemic that basically peddled a bunch of a bunch of conspiracies about the coronavirus. It was called Plandemic. Remember that? Yeah. Almost as soon as Mikovits started talking, RSBN's camera panned away from the stage to focus on a person named Blake Marnell, who goes by the name of Brick Suit because he often wears a brick pattern suit meant to imitate Trump's border wall. So we got Mike-nificent and Brick Suit. I'm going to have to start watching this channel more. This sounds interesting. Demon Sperm, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember talking about her. Wait, is that the same? No, that can't be the same one. No, because I think there's two different weird conspiracy ladies that I've seen. But yeah, Mikovits was the Plandemic lady. All right, so now Marnell, who was very surprised to be on camera, began talking in a way to, try to help RSBN avoid covering her speech, which of course full of anti-vax, and coronavirus conspiracy theories, essentially. All right. So now the comment section got a little angry, got a little frustrated. One said, "Quit talking. RSBN is so rude and I'm done with them," wrote another. Now, that prompted an unseen narrator to go back in here and saying they couldn't show Mikovit's speech at the risk of losing its channel. Quote, "If we let the speaker talk right now, we will lose our YouTube channel. They will take this video down," claiming that RSBN had one strike from YouTube after broadcasting something from Alex Jones. The camera turned back to the stage when she was done, but not for long. Soon, another speaker was talking about how he didn't just not enforce mask wearing, but banned anyone who dared wear a mask. Quote, "They represent the lockdown. They are the lockdown." Joe from the studio ended up cutting back into the broadcast saying, "Just to give you full disclosure that there is a certain guidelines that we have to on platforms that we cannot talk about certain subjects." There's also other ones. But let me go to, yes, that's right. This was Oklahoma. Outraged RSBN audience members accused reporters who were wearing masks at this event of being, quote, "liberal slaves," prompting RSBN host Liz Willis to launch a lengthy on-air apology in which she said she was only wearing a mask because she lived with elderly parents. Now, I'm going to wager that the MAGA crowd didn't really care. Again, they're part of the group that wanted to sacrifice grandma at the altar of capitalism so that they can go back to tipping poorly and harassing waitresses at Applebee's, based on their looks. That's it. That's really it. Now we go to Mike Lindell. So now, MyPillow founder Mike Lindell is one of the biggest sponsors of the Right Side Broadcasting Network. In fact, Lindell bought a huge amount of advertising on the channel, with anchors cutting into broadcasts from CPAC to promote his pillows and sheets, and at times roughly a quarter of the screen during the broadcast at CPAC was taken up by a still image of Lindell hugging a pillow. Not even Lindell can avoid getting muted, as I'm going to show you. This happened on Sunday during an interview. Take a look.
This is our bodies. This is Mark of the Beast stuff, and I don't care. I'll just put it right out there. This is revelation. I mean, if they're going to make them do that over in Israel, and why do you think they went to Israel first? What? That's kind of strange. This is weird, guys. It actually started, the list started in Spain. It started in Spain, where Spain started putting people on this new world list. And I want to tell another thing here in the United States that happened on Inauguration Day. On Inauguration Day, the WHO and the CPC, they put a thing out now. Everyone's seen, COVID's going down. The rates are going down. They're telling you wear a double mask and do all this other stuff. Let me tell you, that's not.
That's not the sound going out. They cut the mic.
Careful. I hate to do it. I love you, but due to YouTube's guidelines, we will get our whole platform shut down if we talk about vaccines.
Vaccine. Well, this is over in Israel.
Yeah. Okay. I know. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Well, I mean, as soon as you started talking about Israel, like, oh, God, no, hit the button. Oh, Jesus. No, don't do that. Hit the button. Mute him.
I'm in trouble.
That's what they were saying in the box right there. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Look, it's both hilarious and also it does make me a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, for one, you could say, look, if you can't follow the rules, go to a new platform. All right. And look, there are other platforms out there. BitChute's one of them, but it's full of Nazis, like literal Nazis. That's all that's there, basically. But there are other platforms. But the problem here is YouTube did not have really any good competitors. The only rival to YouTube is Facebook. And Facebook has already deprioritized its newsfeed. They're not interested in getting into any of this, into the political stuff. All right. So in terms of reach and monetization ability, there's not a lot of real competition out there. And as far as being a content creator myself, that does concern me. I'm just saying. That does concern me. But at the same time, I gotta admit, it's kind of hilarious watching these people have to dance around insane conspiracy theories and mute their own personalities for spewing those conspiracy theories. You know, it really is the combination of the right wing getting what they deserve for building these monsters for clicks. And so now here's an important thing to note throughout all of this. Notice how nobody, and you hear this, you know, from conservatives all the time. Oh, they're banning us for being conservative. They're banning us for our views. Okay, well, nobody's getting censored or banned for being a conservative. Nobody's getting pushed off Twitter and YouTube arguing for lower taxes on the rich, less government, more free trade. Okay, nobody's being banned for arguing for more capitalism and less government oversight or regulation. That's not what's happening. Okay, you can make those arguments all day. In fact, they have channels dedicated to them on cable news. It's all you see on cable news. So it's not conservatism that's being banned. Okay, you know, it's what it is. It's those views. Those are the ones that get banned. The stuff that incites people into violence, like on January 6th, conspiracy stuff. All right, stuff that makes people question vaccines. That's not good. Especially since there is already an issue with the African-American community being skeptical of vaccines. Understandably, because there is a history of African-American people being used as human guinea pigs by, you know, medical procedures. And so there's already a distrust of vaccines in those communities. And that gets very difficult when we want to actually build up herd immunity through vaccines. But then you've got Patriot Fan 1776, you know, out there adding to that, you know, by promoting anti-vax content and conspiracy content. That doesn't help your cause. That doesn't help. Okay. And so that understandably is going to get you banned. And hate against vulnerable people also gets you banned. And I'm actually totally okay with that. All right, because that's not presenting a real political ideology. What the Republican Party has essentially become, what the conservative movement has become, is basically just reactionary, complete and total reactionary. They don't have any new ideas. They don't have any good ideas. All they have is pushing back against any sort of progress. And so these channels grow by getting people outraged and afraid for some clicks. And that's what's going on. And it is interesting and kind of fun to see that these channels are being, you know, not necessarily shut down, although some are, but now having to adhere to a completely different rule set than they were used to, that they had built their entire their entire channel on, and seeing them try to navigate that stuff that I have to navigate. And the reason I don't get shut down and I don't get demonetized anymore is because, well, I don't do conspiracy theories, but there are people that have to be careful too, who push back against conspiracy theories that also tend to get demonetized sometimes because the algorithm is kind of broken. So they need to work on that. But otherwise, again, I don't see the issue with going after these specific channels and having these rules set up to try to prevent people from falling into extremism. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.